This presentation will focus on the current status of the Bonanza Park District redesign and redevelopment area, how it's merging with the plans that are being developed by the Planning Department, and how that works with focus on the Fisher-Trejoria projects within the district. The slide we're looking at is an aerial photograph of the primary area. To the top, the large road is Kearns Boulevard. To the left, which is to the west, is Park Avenue, and the large road on the right is Bonanza Drive. And this really is the focus of the Bonanza Park District. As we move into the next slide here, what we're looking at is the concepts that was developed by the Planning Department and how we might look at changing the nature of this very suburban-based development with lots of parking lots and sort of drive-to locations, and to create a place that is relatively similar in scale and street size to what we see in the Old Town District. The purple represents buildings, the green around there shows some open space and some arterials, and the asterisks that are orange show focal points into the district entrance and exit, and then the large orange lines are potential mass transit locations and orientation. What we have done in the next step here is to try and merge the concepts between the Planning Department's solutions or preliminary concepts and try to bring them into a reality of the existing property lines and boundaries and property owners, and merge those with the goals and desires of those property owners. So what we're looking at here is the existing building footprints in the area, and then you can see in the area that we're focused on, which is really the corner of Bonanza Drive and Kearns down to the lumber yard or the yard location. And those areas also show the property boundaries that we have in those districts. As we move through this, what you'll begin to see is a new road system and how that road system might go together. What we're seeing is a way that we can work around existing property boundaries, and in the central core there is a location where we need to work with the city's property where the recycle center is, and then Rocky Mountain Power Substation, which would be critical in solutions here. So as you look at this concept, what you're seeing is different areas that we're trying to create buffers and green spaces, and those might happen on the perimeters of the arterials, and then central core locations. This gray area that's sort of a wedge or slice area is the existing Rocky Mountain Power Substation. And the gray square that you're seeing here represents an opportunity or a location we think that might work as a place to transition the substation. It works in size. We know they're looking for 150 feet by 150 feet. And then at the same time, they're also looking for something that might be to the east of the existing substation because the power feeds come in off of Bonanza Drive. This shows how we might expand this in the future, working towards the corner where the Yarrow is, the corner of Park Avenue and Kearns, and just looks at how that might work through other existing locations and tie into the other streets. And the green areas show the further build out and development of what a central core or park might be, how those might work, and how we might work on the perimeters and sort of preserving our arterials. But really our focus tonight's on the Fisher and Trejoria properties, and what you're seeing here is the focal area. The purple represents the primary arterials that really transport you around this property, and as you look at that, there's a very large development area. What we're proposing is that you might develop a service road around the perimeter so we can convert these arterials into what we've referred to as mountain boulevards, providing the through traffic and primary arterial access, but also providing access to the properties through a service road, something you might see in many older cities. The orange lines represent what we would perceive to be the first phase main commercial streets. And this lighter orange represents sort of the first phase secondary commercial streets as they develop and how these things might come together. The dashed orange line represents one idea that might work for mass transportation, and it's similar to what you saw in the Planning Department solution. And the orange shape that you see in the corner in the center there next to the substation would be one location that you might look at providing for a transit station or intermodal hub. We're going to look at the street sections. So to understand how those might work, we're going to look at a section through Kearns and then sort of a proposed building at that location. You see those purple arrows. So this section represents Kearns Boulevard on the left. You see 2 lanes of traffic moving towards us and away from us. And what we've created is this big buffer in between Kearns and the service road, and the Mountain Boulevard then creates this really great area. It pulls the buildings back from Kearns, allows them to have some height and still provide a 15-foot sidewalk along the perimeter. We would see that you'd have parallel parking adjacent to the building and then a traffic lane or a drive lane close to Kearns Boulevard. And we think that there's some things that happen here in a mountain setting that's really important. We need a place to store snow, and that central landscape berm or earth area will work to do that, in addition to creating sort of buffers between road and pedestrian areas and change in scale and speed. Second section we're going to look at is the primary commercial street, and you'll see that is one that we've proposed as the purple arrow is highlighted. And this street section just shows what 4-story buildings adjacent to a street section might look like. There's a 15-foot sidewalk on each side. We've got a reduced travel lane of 24 feet in width where we've got traffic going in 2 directions. And then each side of that has parallel parking. Very similar in scale and shape to Main Street in Park City. What you're seeing here is a section through what we've referred to as a market street, or you'll see Market Strauss. And throughout Europe, these places exist that become central cores to districts that provide different opportunities and different uses as a gathering place, a place for a market, and just creating some open space within a street structure. And you see in the street section here to the right, you'd be looking at the primary commercial street, basically the same road section. Then you see in the center we've got this green space, open space, where you might find opportunity to program with vendors with sidewalks on each side, and then a service lane over on the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side we see that that might be some sort of civic or gathering or community space in that building. It certainly has an opportunity to be that way. And at the central core is the right kind of place to have a civic structure.